In 1899, in Colorado Springs, in his laboratory, one of the greatest inventors and futurists of all time, Nikola Tesla, the man sitting far in the back, he is deeply engrossed in his thought about an innovation which was going to be his greatest discovery: terrestrial stationary waves. By this discovery, he proved that the entire Earth could be used as a conductor. Just imagine for a second that the whole globe, the entire Earth, can be used as a transmitter. What he had in mind is something that we are using in everyday life today, and that is wireless broadcasting system. So back in 1899, there is a rupture moment in history where the life of the past can meet the life of the future. In 1907, 8 years from the photo you just saw, the painting Les Demoiselles d'Avignon shocked the world, emerged from the studio of an artist whose name was Pablo Picasso. Picasso, under the influence of Spanish ancient sculptures and African mosques, he shut himself off in his studio in Paris, and he kept on experimenting and exploring a new visual language for aesthetic expression to be called Cubism. Again, there is a rupture moment here, an artist breaking away with the tradition of 600 years of academic painting. How such rupture moments happen, that's a question. How human mind can take such huge leaps in imagination and coming up with innovations that can change everything in our life. As Albert Einstein says once, it is not that I'm so smart, it is just that I stay with problems longer. He's alluding to a very interesting part of our life, that is attention. But what is attention, and what is deep attention? Attention means attending to something. And attending to something is deeply embedded in our consciousness, because our consciousness is always consciousness of something. When you think, when you imagine, when you dream, you think and imagine and dream of something. That something is the object of your consciousness and fills the content of your consciousness. But in everyday life, oftentimes, for the most part, we don't really spend so much time with the objects in our surroundings, with the problems we have to deal with, because we are perhaps too busy with many things to do. But deep attention, as practiced by the greatest innovative minds like Nikola Tesla, Pablo Picasso, Albert Einstein, is when you travel into the object, into the problem, into the issue that you're investigating, and you try to explore the depths, the nature, and the relations of that object with the distant realities of other things in life, and arriving at a moment which is highly transformative. But attention is not always about scientific or artistic innovation. It can be a quiet moment in your life when you're sitting far from everybody else, from the very crowded and busy society, and you try to reflect on yourself, your inner world. Or, as we did this research about 1.5 years ago in the beautiful garden of the Auch Regional Museum of Fine Arts, we can see the local people are practicing what we call playful attention, when you try to connect yourself with a tree, with another person, in a quiet moment, and create that deep connection with the object of your consciousness. However, in our everyday life, nowadays in today's world, we are so busy with these digital screens. Traveling from different angles of the world, bringing messages in text, in images, in sounds. Oftentimes our experiences are becoming multisensorial and shattering our attention and disrupting the flow, the stream of our thought. How many times you find yourself in such environment where there is a huge, enormous competition over your attention? It is very important to note that apart from our health, attention is the most important capital we have. And there is an enormous, fierce competition over our attention. That's how the world of commerce and our economy works. Or oftentimes, if you are at the airport or train station, you might find yourself in front of one of these information tables. It's unbelievable that how many signs, how many colors, how many codes, how much text and visuals we need to interpret in a very short amount of time to find answers to simple questions. Where should I go from here? Where is my terminal? And where is the gateway? So, again, once you find yourself in front of such tables, your attention begins to ramify. It goes in different directions, and it divides off into different branches. That is what we call shattering of the attention. Or, in a different way, perhaps we can call it fluttering attention. Fluttering attention means it's like birds, that they fly in a different and irregular pattern, that our attention flies over the objects in our surroundings in a very irregular and in a very sporadic manner. As Herbert Simon, the American political scientist, said once, a wealth of information creates a poverty of attention. So simply our attention in today's world, I would argue, is homeless. There is no home to our attention. For example, this is an airport. I recently visited the airport, and I took this photo for this talk because I wanted to draw your attention to something very important in this environment. This environment is a non-place. It's not a place. It is designed to transfer you from one point to another on the map. It doesn't invite you in. It repels you. When you are in this place and similar places, like a train station like this, your public exposure can only lead to anonymity. We are in such places, nobody. Nobody knows us. We don't care about others. There is a task to do, and there is just a place to transfer yourself from one place to another. But compare it with a place like this, an ancient theater. This is a temple of attention, designed to bring your attention in, to let you immerse in your moment and connect yourself with a story, with an event unfolding before you. Or this beautiful hut, you might think that, what is this? This is a very important hut in the history of philosophy. This is built by one of the greatest philosophers of all time, Martin Heidegger, on the slope of the hills in the Black Forest in the south of Germany, where he lived for most of his time, and he wrote his amazing books and lectures in this hut. He believed that philosophy belongs to a village, not big cities, because village allows you to immerse yourself in your moment and connect with yourself. Or, I chose this photo because here is Naryn in Kyrgyzstan and Songkul. Again, you can compare this environment with the environment that we experience at airports, train stations, public places, big cities, mega cities, shopping malls. The entire world has turned into a shopping mall. It's a gigantic shopping mall you're living in. Even our libraries look like shopping malls. So this place allows you to come in, to immerse yourself again in a moment, to connect with yourself, to understand the deep connection that brings us all together in a unity of that oneness, which is so fundamental to who we are as humans. Ancient Greek gods, these cartoons are very important figures. We might laugh at them, but they were the most important and powerful creatures back in ancient times. They were ruling the world for centuries and millennia. In ancient times, there was a dearth of information. We didn't have enough information about ourselves, about our life, about the world, why the world is the way it is. There were no explanations. These gods, perhaps figments of human imagination, were invented to provide us with explanations about who we are and what we do and what is life about. So this is exactly what humans did in ancient times to overcome uncertainty in life, to bring a level of certainty to everyday life, which is so fundamental to our mental health and to the way that we go about our life. From the ancient mythological gods to the modern technological corporates. So again, that's a huge leap over maybe 2,000 years, 2,000 and a half. So these companies are providing us with an excess of information, as opposed to the ancient times, there was a dearth of information. But the problem is the same, because if back in the day, people didn't know what to do in life because they didn't have enough information, and they had to go through uncertainty and anxiety, we have to deal with so much information overload and information anxiety, because information, doesn't matter if it is an excess or dearth of information, both lead to uncertainty and anxiety. And these two reproduce each other. When you are uncertain about your life, you feel anxious. And when you're anxious, you lose your footing in the world, and your world becomes uncertain again. But how the ancient people dealt with this issue? There are so many great minds, but one of them stands out, Thales of Miletus, a great philosopher who believed that the way that we can deal with this chaotic world, there are no principles in this world. The world is unfolding before us. We don't know why it is the way it is. We have to go after simplicity. And simplicity can be found through certain natural laws, according to philosophers and scientists. And that is how we can just bring chaos into something which is meaningful, which is certain, and can just put our minds at ease. But simplicity is a very interesting principle in nature as well. If you look at the nature, for example, every river, rivers never take paths which are complex and far. River takes paths which are the simplest and the shortest. So simplicity is one of the driving forces in nature. And the question is that how we can draw on it and how we can incorporate simplicity in our life. This is my suggestion. We have to resist. We have to resist against an excess of information. We have to economize our attention. Attention is the most important capital we have as individuals. Then, after resisting all this information traveling to you in different mediums, in different forms and shapes, you need to anchor yourself. You anchor yourself to the present moment. You try to connect yourself with the present moment, to yourself, to what you're attending to. And after anchoring, we need the presencing. And what do we mean by presencing? Presencing means when you attend to yourself and attend to the object of your consciousness deeply. Here is my definition of presencing. It's feeling at home and free in attending to oneself and the other. Addiction is not presencing, because addiction is not about freedom. So you have to be free. When a scientist, when an artist, when you're just practicing your meditation, you must feel the freedom that you have in life and the way that you're attending to yourself and the other. And let yourself be and let the other be. And in that moment, the other reveals itself to you in a different light, as it has done to many scientists and philosophers and artists throughout the history. And perhaps everything can be captured in this image. Marina Abramovic, the Serbian artist. The artist is present. That's the name of the exhibition that she ran in New York in 2010. She was sitting in a very busy and crowded room and allowed the participants and the audience coming and sit with her in a quiet moment to connect herself with the people, and perhaps a participant like this man connecting herself with her. So I hope that we can practice resistance and anchoring and presencing as educators, as students, as teachers, as individuals in our life to deepen our experience of who we are and in what environment we are living and what are our responsibilities towards ourselves and others. Thanks so much.